Humbert here. Today we're going to be doing Unit 7 Quiz 3 review. So we're going to be looking over what you need to know going into that Quiz 3. So first of all, let's take a look at number 1. You open up a bag of M&Ms, and there are 3 green, 6 blue, 2 red, 1 yellow, 2 brown, and 2 orange. What is the probability that you randomly select a blue M&M? Well, the first thing we need to do is figure out how many M&Ms we have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 plus 6 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2. And when I do that, I end up getting 16. Now I want to find the probability of finding a blue M&M. Well, 6 of them are going to be blue. So I'm going to take 6 and I'm going to divide it by 16. And when I do that, I get 0.375. So that is my final answer for number 1. Now, let's go ahead and let's take a look at number 2. What is the probability of randomly selecting a spade face cards from a standard deck of cards? Well, first of all, there are 13 spades in a deck because that's one of the 4 suits. Then we know that each suit has 3 face cards. We have the King of Spades, the Queen of Spades, and Jack of Spades. So there's 3 face cards, and the standard deck of cards has 52 total cards. So I'm going to take 3 and I'm going to divide it by 52. And when I do that, I get 0.06. Now, let's take a look at number 3. So 2 dice are tossed. What is the probability of getting an odd number on one die and a number less than 4 on the other? So first of all, since we're rolling 2 dice, these are going to be independent events because we're rolling 2 completely separate dice. So the probability of getting an odd number on one dice. So an odd number, there's going to be 1, 3, and 5. So there's 3 out of the 6 that are odd. Now let's take a look at the probability of getting a number less than 4. Well, numbers less than 4 on the dice are 3, 2, and 1. So there are 3 numbers that are less, and then you get 6. So I get 3 over 6 times 3 over 6. So 3 times 3 is 9. 6 times 6 is 36. Then we're going to take 9 and divide it by 36. And when we do that, we get 0.25. So there's a 25% chance of that actually happening. Now let's take a look at number 4. Miss Agater is handing out candy to students who received all A's for the trimester. You and your friend both want a Snickers bar. If Miss Agater has 40 pieces of candy and 12 of them are Snickers bars, what is the probability that you and your friend both will get Snickers bars? Well, if you think about it, if your friend gets a Snickers bar, then there's going to be 1 less candy in the bin and 1 less Snickers. So this is going to be a dependent event. So starting off, Miss Agater has 40 total Snicker bars, and 12 of them are going to be she has 40 total pieces of candy and 12 of them are Snickers. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to hand out candy, right? Miss Agater now only has 39 candies because we're going to assume that when she gave out this candy, she gave out a Snickers. So then she only has 11 left. So I have 12 times 11, which is 132. And then I have 40 times 39, which is 1,560. So I'm going to go ahead and divide those two numbers, and then I get 0.08 for number 4. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at number 5. So for number 5, it says Miss Carlson is picking a Starburst out of a bag. 34 Starbursts where 7 are red, 10 are pink, 7 are yellow, and 10 are orange. She only eats pink Starbursts. What is the probability that the first 2 Starbucks she chooses are yellow and the third is pink, assuming she puts them back? Now that puts them back is a huge indicator to you because it says that it is, an independent event because she's putting them back, so the total is not going to change. So she has a total of 34 Starbursts. So we want to do the first 2 being yellow. Well, there are 10 pink and 7 yellow. So 7 out of the 34 are going to be yellow. She's going to pick it up, see that it's a yellow, and she's going to put it back in. So then we're going to have, again, 7 out of the 34 being yellow. Okay, she's going to pick it up, it's yellow, she's going to put it back in. Then lastly, she still has that total of 34, but this third time, we want it to be pink. And so there are 10 pink. So remember when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply all the way across, and that's going to give you 490. And you multiply all the way across the bottom. That's going to give you 39,304. So when you divide those out, you get 0.01. So that's going to be your final answer for number 5. So let's take a look at number 6. It says 3 cards are drawn from a standard deck of cards without replacement. Find the probability of drawing an ace, another ace, and a king in that order. So here's another word that should tip you off, and that is that without replacement. So since we're not putting those cards back, this has to be a dependent event. So we already know that there are 52 cards in a deck. So the first thing we want to draw is an ace. Well, an ace is one of the cards, so that means that there are 4 aces, one in each suit. Then we want to find the probability of drawing another ace. Well, we didn't put it back, so now we only have 51 cards. And we need to assume that in this first probability here, we took out an ace, which means there are only 3 aces left in the deck. Now we're going to take out another card, so we only have 50 remaining, and we want to assume that it's going to be a king. Well, if the first 2 we chose were aces, we know we still have all 4 of our kings. So that's going to be 4 out of 50. So now we're going to multiply straight across. So 3 times 4 times 4 is going to be 36. 52 times 51 times 50 is going to be 132, and then 1,600. That is a terrible 6. So then when you divide that out, you're getting 0.0002. So there's literally a 0.02% chance of that happening, which AKA means that's a not about to happen. Most people would probably just consider that to be a 0% probability of that happening. All right, so let's take a look at number 7. So for number 7 and 8, we're going to review factoring. So factoring is when you set up that x. So I'm going to take my 1 and multiply it by the 20. Well, 1 times 20 is 20. So we're multiplying to 20 and adding to 9. So I want to ask myself what multiplies to 20 and adds to 9. Well, that's going to be 5 and 4. So now I'm going to use that 5 and 4 to split up my 9x. My x squared is going to stay the same. And then I'm going to have 5x plus 4x plus 20. And now I am ready to factor by grouping. So we're going to make our 2 groups. So out of the first group, I can take out an x. So what I'm going to do is divide each of these by x. So then once I do that, I'm left with x plus 5. Then out of the second group, between 4 and 20, I can take out a 4. So I'm going to go ahead and divide each of these by 4. So I'm dividing out a 4. 4x divided by 4 is just going to give me x. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So we have x plus 5 and x plus 5. So I'm going to go ahead and factor those out. And then we're going to write what's left after that, which is x plus 4. So this right here is the final answer for number 7. Last but not least, let's take a look at number 8. And again, we want to set this up to factor. So I'm going to put a 1 here. So I'm going to multiply 1 times negative 18. So when I do that, I'm multiplying to negative 18 and I'm adding to 3. So now I want to ask myself what multiplies to negative 18 and adds to 3. Well, first of all, we have a negative product, which means we're going to have a positive and a negative factor. So to do that, we're going to use positive 6 and negative 3. The 6 needs to be positive so that when we add them, the 3 will be positive. So I'm going to have x squared, but instead of writing 3x, I'm going to put an x with each of these. So then I have 6x minus 3x minus 18. Then after that, I am ready to factor by grouping. So between x squared and 6x, I can take out an x. So I'm dividing each of these by x. X squared divided by x is just x. 6x divided by x is just 6. Now I notice that there's a negative sign outside of this 3, so I need to take out a negative greatest common factor. And both of these are divisible by 3, so I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 3. And then I get x plus 6. So my leftovers are matching, so I'm going to write them in one parenthesis. And then once I do that, my other parenthesis is going to be what's left on the outside, which is x minus 3. So that concludes your review video. Let me know when you are ready for that quiz. Thank you for listening.